Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel Internal Audit Lab by Noshin. Today I will discuss one of the important topic of Domain 1 of CIA Part 1, that is conformance with the IIA Code of Ethics. This topic will be tested in the exam in proficient aspect. So let's start the video. What standard glossary define about Code of Ethics? Basically, Code of Ethics comprises of principles and rules of conduct. These principles are relevant to the profession and practice of internal auditing. And what is the rules of conduct? Rules of conduct basically describe the behavioral aspect of the internal auditor. The code of ethics applicable to both parties and the entities that provide internal audit services. What is the purpose of code of ethics? The purpose of code of ethics is to promote an ethical culture in the global profession of internal auditing. Now, what is the applicability of the code of ethics? The code of ethics basically applicable to all the person or the organization who are providing the internal audit services, not only just the certified internal auditors or the member of Institute of Internal Auditors. It is applicable to all who are providing internal audit services. What is the enforcement of code of ethics? If there is any breach of the code of ethics, it will be evaluated and administered according to the bylaws and administrative directives of the institute. And if there is any violation of the rules of ethics, it will be or it should be reported to the board of directors of the IIA. Now, code of ethics has four core principles. I will describe these principles one by one. First comes integrity. The integrity is basically the basis of trust, which based on which actually we rely on the judgment of the internal auditors. So auditors should behave in a way that reflects positively on the auditor and the profession. Objectivity. Internal auditors should exhibit the highest level of professional objectivity when they carry out any activity or whenever they gather, evaluate, or communicate information about the activity of the process being assessed or examined. Whenever internal auditor make any assessment, it should be balanced assessment of all the relevant circumstances, and they should not be unduly influenced by their own interest or any other feelings when they form any judgment. Confidentiality. Internal auditors basically deal with so many confidential information, so that's why they have to respect the value and ownership of those information, and they should not disclose any information without appropriate authority. But if there is any legal or professional obligation to disclose any information, they can do so. Lastly, competency. So internal auditors should have the necessary knowledge, skill, and experience to perform their work. That's why it is suggested to internal auditor to achieve different sort of certifications and continually improve their services. Now comes to the point, rules of conduct. So basically these four core principles also have some rules of conduct. In total there are 12 rules of conduct under each principle. So what are mentioned under integrity? So whenever internal auditor perform their work, they should do it with honesty, diligence, and responsibility. They shall observe the law and make disclosure expected by the law and the profession. They cannot be part of any illegal activity, or they cannot do any sort of act or engagement that are discreditable to the profession of internal auditing or to the organization. And they shall respect and contribute to the legitimate and ethical objective of the organization. Now discuss one example of integrity. So suppose an internal auditor is working in a food manufacturing company, and that company is inappropriately using food color on their item. Whenever internal auditor did the testing part, he did not gather enough information or actually hide the information out of loyalty to the employer. Now, is there any violation of code of ethics? Yes. The answer should be yes, because he was knowingly becoming a part of illegal act. He was engaged in an act discreditable to the profession. Also, he failed to make disclosure expected by the law, and he did not perform the work diligently. Now, objectivity. What are the rules of conduct under objectivity? Firstly, the interrogator shall not participate in any activity or shall not participate or should be in a relationship that may impair or presume to impair their unbiased assessment. Also, they should not accept anything that may impair or presume to impair their professional judgment. And they should disclose all the material facts known to them. If not disclosed, may distort the reporting of activities under review. So whatever the word I have marked in a red color, these are very important. You should emphasize more while preparing for your exam, because questions may come on these topics. Now, another example of objectivity. For example, an internal audit team made excellent observation and they made some recommendation for one of the division they audited, which ultimately led towards a process improvement. So process owner was very happy and he presented the internal audit team with a gift which was moderate value. Now the audit team meets to discuss whether to accept the gift or not. Auditor X said we should accept the gift because its value is significant. Auditor Y said we should not accept the gift until after we submit our final engagement communication, and Auditor Z said we should not accept the gift. And what should the lead auditor do? Lead auditor basically considered the opinion of other auditors, and he also was thinking about the intent of rules of conduct. Because the lead auditor knows that the auditor should not accept anything that may impair or presume to impair their objectivity. So on that aspect, lead auditor decided that they should not accept the gift. Now, confidentiality. What are the rules of conduct under confidentiality? Firstly, the interrogator shall be prudent in the use and the protection of information acquired in the course of the duties, and they should not use any information for any personal gain. Say, for example, an interrogator is performing services in a division in which CFO was a close personal friend. For example, the auditor was doing service in a procurement division and the procurement manager and the CFO was a close friend. But the interrogator learns that the friend is to be replaced. That means the CFO is to be replaced after a series of critical labor negotiation. And interrogator relays this information to the divisional head. So, is there a violation of code of ethics occurred? Yes, because the interrogator was not prudent in the use of information in the course of his or her duties and shall not use any information for any personal gain. Lastly, competency. So, interrogator shall engage only those services for which they have necessary knowledge, skill, experience. If they do not have any sort of knowledge, experience or skill in activity, they will not participate for it. In that case, they may outsource the service or may gain necessary knowledge, skill to do that activity. They shall perform internal service in accordance with the IIS standards. And lastly, they should continually improve their proficiency and the effectiveness and quality of their services. Another example of competency. An interrogator has been assigned to perform an engagement, for example, in the marketing department next year, but the auditor currently does not have any expertise in that area, but accepted the assignment, but he plans to take continuing professional education course in marketing. So, any violation of code of ethics happened? In that case, it is most likely that the violation of ethics does not happen because the internal auditor plans to acquire the required knowledge and skill prior to start of this engagement. So I hope today's video will help you in preparing for your exam. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.